I thought I was building something that would last forever. A company, a future, a life that couldn't fall apart. I didn't realize, while I was protecting everything, I was losing the one thing I could never get back. I built a company worth $350 million. That's the number people remember. That's the part they repeat. They don't ask what it cost. When you say a number like that, people assume a lot of things. They assume discipline, focus, sacrifice. They're not wrong, but they're not complete either. Because what they don't see is what that number replaced. When I started, I wasn't chasing wealth, not in the way people think. I was chasing control. I didn't grow up with stability, so for me, building something wasn't ambition, it was protection. I wanted something that couldn't disappear overnight, something that didn't depend on anyone else, something I could hold together no matter what. And for a long time, that made sense. I worked harder than everyone around me, not because I wanted to stand out, but because I didn't want to fall behind. At first it was manageable, long days, late nights, but it felt temporary. Everything feels temporary when you're building something. You tell yourself, just a little longer, just until things settle, just until we get there. There is no there. There's always another level, another problem, another version of not enough. The company grew, slowly at first, then faster than I expected. And with that growth came something else, responsibility. People depending on me, employees, clients, decisions that affected more than just my life. And I stepped into that role completely. Provider, builder, fixer. At home, I was there, physically. I came back every night, most nights. I sat at the table, listened, answered questions. But my mind was somewhere else. Always. Thinking ahead, planning, solving problems that hadn't happened yet. That's something no one prepares you for. Success doesn't just take your time, it takes your attention. And attention is what people feel. My daughter was young when everything started growing. I remember moments, small ones. She would come to me, holding something in her hands, a drawing, a school project, something simple. And she would say, "Look what I made." And I would say, "Give me a minute." I said that a lot. That minute became a pattern. I didn't notice it at the time. To me, it was nothing, just a delay, just finishing something important. But to her, it meant something else. It meant, I'm not the priority right now. And when that happens enough times, people stop asking. That's how distance starts. Not with a fight, not with a decision, with small moments that don't feel important. The company kept growing. There were milestones, big ones, deals that changed everything, moments people celebrate. I remember signing one contract, worth more than everything I had ever earned before. People congratulated me, shook my hand, said things like, "You've made it." That night, I came home late. The house was quiet. My wife was asleep. My daughter's room door was slightly open. I stood there for a moment. I don't know why. I looked inside. She was asleep. There were drawings on the wall, small ones, colorful, simple. I didn't recognize most of them. That should have meant something. It didn't. Not enough. I told myself, this is temporary. Everything was temporary, except the consequences. Years passed like that. Not dramatically, just consistently. I missed things, school events, conversations, moments I didn't even know were happening. And when I was there, I wasn't fully there. That's the part people don't understand. Being physically present is not the same as being there. She grew up, slowly, then suddenly, and I noticed something, not all at once, just in small ways. She stopped coming to me as often, stopped asking for my attention, stopped showing me things. At first, I thought it was normal. Kids grow up, they change. That's what I told myself. But now I understand something I didn't see then. She didn't stop needing me. She just learned not to expect me. And that's a different kind of loss. The company reached a point where everything looked successful. From the outside, it was exactly what I had planned. Stable, growing, respected. Inside, something was different. But I didn't stop. Because stopping felt like risking everything. And I had built too much to slow down now. That's another trap. The more you build, the harder it becomes to step away. Because now, it's not just yours, it's everything. In my mind, I was doing the right thing, providing, protecting, securing the future. But I misunderstood something important. You can build a future and still lose the present. And if you lose the present long enough, there's nothing left to protect. One evening, years later, I came home earlier than usual. The house was quiet again. She was sitting in the living room, not doing anything, just there. I sat down across from her, and for a moment, I realized something I hadn't noticed before. We didn't know how to talk anymore. Not really. The conversation was basic. How was your day? Fine. That was it. That's when it hit me. Not fully, but enough to feel uncomfortable. There was a distance there that I couldn't explain, and instead of facing it, I did what I always did. I went back to work. That's how I handled everything. If something felt off, I worked more. If something felt unclear, I focused on something I could control. And work was always clear. But life isn't, and avoiding it doesn't fix it. It just delays it. I kept telling myself it was normal, that distance happens, that kids grow up, that life changes. But there's a difference between change and absence, and I didn't see that difference, or maybe I didn't want to, because seeing it would have meant admitting something, that I wasn't as present as I thought I was, that all those just a minutes had added up to something permanent. She was a teenager by then, independent, quiet, not difficult, not rebellious, just distant. At the time, I told myself I was lucky. No problems, no drama, she's easy. That's what I said. Now I hear it differently. She wasn't easy. She had just stopped expecting anything from me. And that's quieter than conflict, but far more dangerous. There were moments, small ones, that I remember now, but I didn't notice them then. She would sit at the dinner table, scrolling through something, barely speaking, and I would do the same. Two people in the same room, living separate lives. That became normal. And normal is where things disappear. Not suddenly, quietly. There was a day, I remember clearly now. She had something important. I don't even remember what it was. Maybe a presentation, maybe something at school. She told me about it the night before, and I said, I'll try to make it. I didn't, not because I didn't care, but because something at work came up. Something urgent, something that couldn't wait. That's what I told myself. When I came home that night, she didn't mention it, didn't ask why I wasn't there, didn't say anything at all. And I didn't ask either, because asking might have forced me to hear the answer. That's how avoidance works. You don't just avoid the situation, you avoid the truth around it. Years passed, faster now, because time moves differently when you're not paying attention. The company kept growing, bigger deals, more pressure, more recognition. People started using words like visionary, leader, success story. and I accepted all of it. Because on paper, it was true. But there was another version of the story. No one saw, not even me, until it was too late. She finished school. I remember that day. Not because I was fully present, but because I have a picture, a photo where we're both smiling, standing next to each other, looking like everything is fine. That's the thing about photos. They capture a moment, not the truth behind it. I don't remember what we said that day. I don't remember how she felt. I only remember thinking about something else, even in that moment. That realization comes later, always later. She grew older, started building her own life, and I told myself, this is what success looks like. A child who becomes independent, who doesn't rely on you anymore. But I misunderstood something. Independence is not distance, and what we had was distance. There was a phase where we barely spoke, not because we argued, but because there was nothing left to say. That's the part that's hardest to admit. You don't lose someone in one moment. You lose them in hundreds of small ones. And by the time you notice, they're already gone in the ways that matter. Then came the moment that changed everything. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. I got a call. I don't remember what time it was. Late, later than normal. The kind of call that already feels wrong before you answer it. It was about her. Something had happened. I won't describe everything, because some things don't need details to be understood. What matters is this. In that moment, everything I had built meant nothing. Not the company, not the money, not the years of work. None of it mattered. Because I realized something with a clarity I had never felt before. I didn't know her. Not really. I knew who she was supposed to be, but not who she had become. And that realization is heavier than loss itself, because it comes with something else. Responsibility. Not blame, but responsibility. For all the moments I wasn't there, for all the conversations I didn't have, for all the times I chose something else, thinking there would be more time. There isn't always more time. That's the lie people live with. That I'll fix it later. That I'll show up later. That I'll be there when it matters. You don't get to decide when it matters. It's already happening, while you're busy doing something else. After that night, everything changed. Not outside, inside. The company was still there, still running, still growing, still exactly how I built it. But I wasn't the same. I couldn't look at it the same way. Because now I understood something I didn't before. I hadn't just built something. I had traded something for it. Something I didn't realize I was trading. Time, attention, presence. And once those are gone, you don't get them back. Not with money, not with success, not with anything. You just live with the absence. After that night, everything looked the same. That's what people don't understand. The world doesn't change when something inside you breaks. The company was still running. Meetings continued. Calls didn't stop. Numbers didn't slow down. Everything I had built was still standing. But I wasn't. I started noticing things I had ignored for years. Silence felt different, not peaceful, empty. I would sit in rooms full of people and feel completely alone. Not because no one was there, but because the one person who mattered was no longer part of my life the way she should have been. I tried to go back. That's the instinct. When you realize you've lost something, you try to reach for it again. I called more, tried to talk, tried to be present, but presence doesn't work like that. You can't rebuild it after years of absence, as if nothing happened, because time doesn't reset. It moves, and people move with it. She had already built a life that didn't include me the way it should have. Not out of anger, not out of rejection, just because I wasn't there when it mattered. That's the hardest truth to accept. You don't always lose people because something went wrong. Sometimes you lose them because nothing happened when it should have. There were no big fights, no moment where everything broke, just years of small absences that turned into distance, and distance, eventually, becomes permanent. I started looking at my life differently, not as achievements, but as choices. Every late night, every just a minute, every time I chose work over being there. They weren't sacrifices, they were decisions, and decisions have consequences, even when they make sense at the time. That's the part people don't talk about. You can do everything right and still lose something important, because right depends on what you're measuring. I measured success in growth, in numbers, in stability, and I got all of it. But I never measured what it was costing me. And by the time I did, the cost was already paid. Now, when I walk through the company, people still look at me the same way. Respect, recognition. They see the result, not the absence behind it. Sometimes they ask me questions. How did you build this? What's the secret? What would you do differently? I don't give them long answers anymore, because the real answer isn't something they want to hear. The real answer is simple. I would have been there more. Not later, not eventually, earlier, when it was small, when it didn't feel urgent, because those are the moments that actually matter. Not the big ones, the small ones you think you can miss. You can't. Those are the ones that build everything else. At 74, you start understanding things differently. Not because you become wiser overnight, but because you run out of time to ignore them. I don't think about what I built anymore, not the way I used to. I think about what I missed and what I can't go back to. People assume regret is loud. It's not. It's quiet. It sits with you in normal moments, when nothing is happening. That's when you feel it the most. Not as pain, as absence. The company is still there, still running, still growing, still exactly how I planned it. Everything worked, except the part that mattered, because the person I thought I was building it for isn't there anymore, the way she should have been. And that's something no success can fix. You can build something that lasts forever, but if it costs you the people you love, it's not success. It's just something that stayed after everything else was gone. The company is still there, but the person I built it for isn't.